What's up everybody, and welcome to Xero How To, a series where I impart my knowledge to you guys on different aspects of Axie Infinity. Today in this series, I'll be talking about how to build a deck. Now, deck building is the most important part of Axie Infinity Origin. It is the core of actually any single card game. You can have a look at a build that somebody is already playing, especially on the leaderboards, and usually that's called net decking when you copy it. Net decking makes it much more simpler, but usually when a build has been figured out and other people have caught on to that build, for example the poison build or the AoE build that's really rampant in season alpha, the prices of these Axies are usually much higher. It's much more fun and cheaper, of course, and much more satisfying to win with a deck that you built on your own. And hopefully after this all these videos, you guys will be able to come up with your builds of your own and identify the meta for yourselves. Now, the first step of building a deck is understanding archetypes. In any card game, there's usually four main types of archetypes, which is aggro, control, mid-range, or combo. In the case of Axie Infinity, you need to identify cards that fit or enhances your archetype. Now, archetypes usually work against each other, kind of like rock, paper, and scissors. Aggro usually beats mid-range and combo, combo and mid-range beats control, and control beats aggro. Understanding the basics of deck archetypes help both when building your own deck and figuring out on how to beat your opponents. That being said, almost no deck is a pure representation of a single archetype. Now, the next step is identifying the meta. Usually we do this by reading the patch notes and just playing more games in the ladder. Most of the time the meta is very apparent, especially when you read the patch notes. For example, balance changes for Axie Infinity Origin on July 28. We noticed that there are a lot of changes on control decks as well as on Puffy, which is part of an aggro deck usually. But what is not included in the patch notes is actually a lot of parts and cards that were strong in the previous patch, but they were overshadowed by something stronger. Which in the case, for example, Puffy was the best aggro Axie out there, and it was available for everyone. So every other aggro sort of deck was just basically outshined by Puffy. But ever since Puffy was nerfed, then this allows something else to overtake that position. And in this case, for example, I'll take Leafy. Leafy was a very strong aggro card, but it sort of needed a little bit of setup to be able to achieve the maximum damage, which was overshadowed by Puff because it just dealt too much damage. But now, ever since Puff was nerfed, Leafy suddenly becomes one of the best cards for both mid-range and aggro, and that was not in the patch notes. You kind of have to read between the lines to figure out something else, and not everybody can do that. So this is a very important part of identifying the meta. Now, the next step is to visualize your team. You always need to have a core archetype in mind when you are visualizing your team, and in every single team you need a closer or carry and a support for your team. Some teams run multiple closers and other teams run multiple supports, so that is very reliant on what sort of archetype you're running. A very useful tool to visualize your team is Axie.tech, and they have an Axie team builder. It allows you to visualize your team much easier, and you are able to shop with a shopping list in mind. You also need to know the difference between core cards and tech cards. Core cards are cards that you basically build your whole archetype or build your whole team around, while tech cards are cards that you sort of add in or splash into your deck to allow yourself to have much easier winning conditions against all different types of decks. For example, a core card for a aggro team or a Leafy team is the carrot, the Leafy, and the cactus. While a tech card would be something like Scarab, it would be something like a little piece that would enhance your whole team and also makes it much more easier to play against all different types of archetypes. Now, finally, we go shopping in the marketplace. Since Axie Infinity Origin is so new, there is pretty much no perfect Axie out there, so you kind of have to find what fits best, and hopefully in the future something that is perfect for a deck gets bred, and then you are able to complete your team. But before that, you have to look for what is the best that is currently available in the market, and you just have to work with it. Now, you always want to look for the core cards first. So for example, you want to look up for your Leafy team, you want to look for Cactus, Carrot, and Leafy. Then you want to hide the unwanted parts that don't fit into your archetype. Something like a poppy or a cucumber slice wouldn't make sense in an aggro team, so you just get rid of that. In the marketplace, that's an easy way to do that, which is you can just search up. For example, I don't want to look up the cucumber slice. I can just type it out in the parts search, and I can just click on the eyeball icon, which will hide all cucumber slice parts that are in the available market. So that's one easy way that you can hide unwanted parts. Now, before we close out today's video, I'm going to show you guys a team that I built around playing aggro and one of the most underrated cards right now, which is Leafy. Now we're going to continue with the team building in the next video, but until then, enjoy the gameplay on this Leafy team. So this first team is this Leafy team. It is something that I thought of, and it's super strong without runes and charms. So this is one of those teams where I think is going to be super strong when they're at the start of a season, especially. So the idea of it is that you get the bonuses from Clover, right? Clover gives your whole team leaves, randomly 1 or 2 leaves, and Leafy does more damage per leaf you have. So if you have 3 leaves, you're essentially doing 50 damage times 3 times. It could be random, it could be targeted as well if there is, say, a taunt on a single Axie. Right, and this team is super strong without runes and charms. Why? Because the base damage is super high, and as long as you have the leaves, you always do enough damage. So I've been trying different positionings. I think the Clover could go towards the mid and you have a Leafy in the front, but for this game specifically, we'll just try it in the front, right? So I don't draw the Clover here, so I have damage cards. I'm just going to use them. So the beauty of this team is, as well, is that even without the Clover stacks, you still do pretty good damage with the leaf, and with the cactus and carrot, you are always consistently being able to just play as a full aggro team because you have no dead cards. Almost every single card on all these Axies are just doing damage. Having the 3 taunt juggles means that you also get value out of the Clover heals if you don't draw the Leafy. First turn I didn't draw any Leafy or Clover, so that's completely fine. Now I draw a Leafy and a Clover. So I'm not going to use the Leafy, it doesn't do as much damage. So for here, I don't have great options. Obviously, I will summon the Clover. Does this opponent have AoE? Not really, so it's going to be a free summon. I'll put it in towards the mid, so I get maximum value out of it. And I'll probably play a Tri-Feather, because this does 75, right? Everything else is 65 and less. So I will reduce 1 bleed. I wouldn't take bleed damage, and I'll still do 75 damage overall. If this was a cactus of any other Axie, I would have used it just for just being able to you know, hunt juggle. But unfortunately, I did not get that, so we'll just split this. We'll just take the loss on the front, and we'll play 2v3. So if you have runes, this build gets amplified even more because Touch Strike or Pure Instinct does buff the leaf damage. And also, if you have Miracle Leaf, that means you start off with the max damage on Leafy, so that's super strong as well. I do have a cactus in the mid, which is completely useless here. So let's see what we have here. We have Leafy on the back. We kind of want to use it because your deck's going to reset, so might as well use it. So we won't use the Sirius to start off first. The best play here probably would be, this is 90 damage, it's 80 damage, is 90 damage, but this is spread out, right? So I think Kotaro first. Perfect, hit something else other than the front, which is what we want. Then because we did that, I would just want to go front here. I'll just do the maximum damage to the front. Maybe using Cubani was better, just to give him some fear cards. And in this game, we didn't draw any. We didn't get to draw any of the taunts nicely, so that might be an issue. Let's see if we are still able to win this game. He uses Zen, which is a pretty interesting card here. Still kind of bugged, but the good thing about it is we have Carrot next, the Cactus on the back the next turn, which means that this guy won't die, and we can utilize it to its maximum advantage. So let's see what we do here. We definitely taunt. And now we get to see the power of the Leafy, right? We have 2 Leafies, so let's see. show you guys the damage. And the beauty of this is as well, this Clover stays alive and we get more Leafy stacks. Let's see, this is 50 damage per, and it hits all on one single target. Ouch. We just use one more. And we just killed 2 Axies. We just dealt 300 damage with 2 energy. And now it looked bad, and now we're suddenly in the driving seat in this game. And he cannot kill this guy with 3 energy. He does have he doesn't have Cottontail, he doesn't have Carrot. He has Ronin for maximum damage, but that, like you see, basically that's the end of the damage. So here, oh, only gave 4. Doesn't matter. We can Kotaro. And Carrot, Sword should be able to finish him off. And that's the power of the Leafy Clover team. Full on damage, no runes and charms required. And having triple taunt juggle, even without leaves, means that you are always able to play without it. This is just the icing on the cake. Now, that's not the end of Xero How To on how to build a deck. There is much more coming, so this is just the first part of the entire series. So if you guys are interested, click on the like, click on the subscribe button, and you'll be notified when the next part of this Xero How To is released. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have a great time, and see you guys very soon.